Okay, we are going to be starting in just a couple minutes here. The topic today is very, very important and near and dear to my heart. It is, of course, dealing with difficult people, difficult clients, difficult buyers, difficult sellers, difficult people. This is something that you're going to face every day in your life if you exist in society. What we're going to talk about here are strategies to get around that, tools that you could use in AI to kind of predict how some people are going to act and do a almost like a thought or a debriefing on how to react to these people when things like this do happen. So I'm very excited by this topic. It's not one of the most fun things to actually do, but the reality is you need it. So with that said, we're going to let everybody into the meeting. They are joining us right about now. And as I said, people are now coming into the meeting. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. This is great stuff. We're going to get all of you in here and discuss this incredibly important topic. So I really want to get to that. Greg, welcome. Please keep your hands on the wheel. Don't look at me. Okay, there we go. I like to say stop that. Stop that. Okay, I'm 3% Jewish grandmother, and I worry about everything. So he's got me worried right now.
The
Let's take a
car's driving itself.
look. Let's see who we got here. We got Paul Zweeben in New York. We got Deneen in Newport Beach, California. We got Eitan Benzeno in Portugal. We got Greg, of course, in the Carolinas. We got another Greg who's with us. I don't see his last name. We got Ken. We got Kenny Bellini in California. We got Lavette in the DC area. We got you guys are all over the place. That's great. I'm sure more and more will join. Oh, Dirk in Denver is joining us now. Great stuff. So we're going to be getting onto that. You should have the workbook. It was uploaded to you guys, or I'm sure Eitan is going to toss that back into the chat in just a moment if he hasn't done so already. And again, as you have questions or ideas, please do throw them out into this chat here or speak up. Let us know what's on your mind. I really, really do want to have this as a much more interactive meeting, unlike past things where we might be introducing new technologies to you, which of course I'm going to be doing here as well today. This is something that you have your own expertise in. You've dealt with it or you learned from some of the people that you've dealt with before. Let me give you an example. I was debating upon whether I was going to read this, but I'm going to try and find this now and read to you what we would define as a difficult client. Um, so without giving away any names, let me just give you an example. Now, this really did happen to me, and I consider myself a pretty good producer, a pretty good guy, pretty knowledgeable. Um, this is just to paraphrase some of this here. Okay, again, uh, how should I get in through for the walkthrough? This is about a closing. This is a client of mine. Will you be there? This is the client. Do you think I'm gonna fucking be there, Edmund? What do I do why would I do something so stupid like be there for a walkthrough? Are you fucking crazy? I'll leave the door open. I'll tell you when to come. Fine. Okay. So I was texting him when I was leaving. Basically, this was okay, Edmund, stop asking me stupid question. Come on, are you fucking kidding me? I'm just giving you the stuff that actually game here was going through. This was basically just a set of text messages from the client. We've all dealt with people like this before. I didn't deserve that beating. I really paraphrased way too much because there was a lot more of it than just that. None of you deserve the level of disrespect that comes from these clients. And
I,
I
I
know
want it all.
I didn't know who that was.
That was me 8 times.
Okay. Good morning, Eitan. And we never ever ever deserve the respect for a few reasons. A, it's not terribly productive. B, it's actually counterproductive because it makes you feel like crap and it makes you perform worse. And C, a lot of these clients are using their perceived power over you because they literally hold the keys. They have the house. They are the listing. You're trying to actually get the deal done. You want to be polite. You want to be able to serve all these things. Here's what happened and why I'm so passionate about this topic. I really kind of compromised uh, my own level of dignity by working with this particular person. I really did. And I did it because I was making money. And I think a lot of you actually go through that as well. Um, and Kenny's nodding, and a few of you are actually nodding, yes, that we will go through this. I was in a private consultation with a client the other day, and she sent me a text that her seller was saying and talking, well, we could always switch brokers or we could always do stuff. Again, passive aggression has no place in this business. So, what exactly do you do when you really do need the business, when you really do, it is life or death. It is a $4 million deal or a $500,000 deal or whatever you actually value. What do you do and how do you deal with it? I want to, before we go into the technicalities of all this, speak to all of you and find out real scenarios of where you were dealing with it. I already put myself out there. I already told you that I dealt with this thing. It was a very emotional kind of roller coaster because I was compromising myself. Who here feels as though they've compromised themselves when dealing with some things? I could see Lavette, I see Hassan. You know what, Lavette, I'm going to pick Hassan first, but that's no lack of love, Lavette. I want to hear from you too. Hassan, tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hassan Bazi. I am in Metro Detroit, right outside Southeast Michigan, right outside Detroit. So it's kind of interesting. We're talking about this today. I got an email yesterday out of the blue, and it was just an inquiry. And the guy was basically, the email said, my wife and I are looking to make a move, and we'd like to talk to you. I have no idea who these people are, so I replied back thanking them for reaching out and said, let's set up an introductory call. So the guy responds back and says that he'll set up a meeting, a Microsoft Teams meeting. And I'd asked him in my previous email questions about, like, how did you connect with me? And are you looking to buy or sell? And all of the emails felt like he was going totally against like what my process is. First of all, like I said, we would do a Zoom or a Google Meet. He replied back and said he would set up the Microsoft Teams meet and he will be the host, which is like kind of like, it just seemed a little bit, I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but every response that I sent to him felt like he was trying to take control of the situation and use his process. Um, and I felt like every response I'm going against what I would normally do. And we still haven't set up the meeting, but it just felt bizarre. I even asked him in one of the emails, like, can you share your phone number with me? And, are you looking to buy or sell? And he said, we can talk about that in the meeting. Like, didn't even give
Okay,
any
yeah.
bit.
So he's full of shit.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
scam.
yeah,
Just FYI.
yeah,
In fact, you could go to Bogen.ai to my apps. I've got an FOS detector. It means full of shit detector.
yeah, yeah.
You could take the
That's the gut instinct that I was getting.
take the entire transcript. You could do it yourself on
Yeah,
ChatGPT. I just had a good time making this thing,
yeah,
and put it in there and just say, "Here's the prompt." Is this guy full of shit?
yeah,
Then you can see for yourself what's going on. I mean, right now, Aton had this issue as well, and I had this issue too, where the guy's like, "Okay, we'll meet by Zoom. I'm going to set it up. I'm not going to give you the telephone number." This is just not normal
right,
human
exactly.
behavior. It's just not.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Hassan. I guess again, I don't know what your business is doing right now, but my guess is that you really want to make that sale, right?
Right. I mean, if it's a legitimate client, yeah, I'd want to meet with them, but I
And
don't want to set the tone right at the beginning where somebody's dominating the entire process completely, and I'm going outside of what my normal process is.
okay, you are no longer, all of you, write this down. You are no longer somebody else's whipping board.
Yeah.
You deserve respect. You deserve the dignity. You deserve, you're a top professional. You're going into all this. And if you first have to master that for yourself. You first have to actually master that and believe that for yourself in order for this to really work. Because if you don't, you're just not going to have the respect from anybody. You're going to actually, but Ed, I'm going to lose business. You're damn right you will. You're damn right you will. You're going to lose business by certain people. I started a team. I will gladly give up half of my salary to somebody else in my team, half of my income to that team member, if in fact they're going to be able to deal with somebody who my personality doesn't mend with. They still need respect. Now we're talking about something else. We're talking about sometimes two personalities don't always match up. Um, but that's something to consider. Lavette, you had your hand up for a second. If you mind unmuting yourself and be kind enough to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lavette. I'm from the Southampton Rose area, not DMV. People get us
Okay.
confused. South, more further south. But I'm actually dealing with a guy now. And in the 12 years I've been an agent, this has only happened to me a few times because um, the guy that I'm working with now, his wife passed away back in June. So I've given him a lot of grace when he's kind of like been a little bit disrespectful and just kind of nasty with me. And recently it's just to a boiling point where he called me up one day and I was actually busy and he called me like 10 times back to back. So when I finally answered the phone, he was screaming at me and just cursing and calling me liars. And I said, who the hell do you think you're talking to?
Good.
Because I don't allow people to do that to me. And I've learned that just from in financial abuse. I don't really compromise myself for the money because I will walk away. I don't really give a damn about that. I'm just
Mm.
not gonna let somebody handle me like that. And I told him, I said, you're a damn fool. Straight up. I said, you're the one that's facing foreclosure. I have a roof over my head. You're gonna be couch hopping in a few months. And guess what? Guess who's couch surfing right now? Lights are turned off. And I said, oh, are you ready to listen to me? Are you ready to calm down? Because guess what? You can't do my job better than I can do my job. I'm not going to let you control my process. So you either let me handle this and get your house sold, or we could just run up the days on market before your contract runs out because I'm not letting you out of it. So so now he found some sense and he's acting right now.
Okay. Look,
I'm just a little bit different.
what's again, you have people, this is going to be something that we're going to deal with every single day. You have to go through the fire. I wish I could take that away from all of you. I once was joking with someone that she didn't know how to break up with a guy. And I said, "Oh, it's really easy." I was explaining, and she said to me, "Wow, I wish I could pay you to go break up with this guy for me." And I'm like, "Well, fuck it. You give me the number, I'll break bad news to him. I don't care." Ultimately, we didn't, but I thought, wouldn't it be great if somebody could actually hire you to do the dirty work? Dirk, look how happy Dirk is with that. He really likes that. That's a great business. It's a great model. Hey, Aton, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this person thinks you're a total tool and never call them again. It's I don't know. There's some people that would have problems with it. Okay, the workbook here. So we understand where there's on page 4, there's a current state of assessment. You don't have to go through all of this. I do suggest you go through some of this. You got to try and look at where the client pain point is. Because I'll tell you this, there's some people that never get treated this way. I'll go out on a limb here and say that sometimes, and more often than not, unfortunately, you're giving all the signs that you're willing to be the whipping board. And I'm telling you that it's not going to work that long. I think you're going to make a lot more money by having an actual standard. Ultimately, doesn't mean that you're not going to lose a deal every now and then. Okay, don't say, but Ed told me to do it. Um, if you actually have a standard, people do go for that level of confidence. So one of the things you're going to have to find out is what's the difficult client pain point, and if you could add something to that, how often has this client come back? Not the same person, but the same kind of person. How often has this type of person, resurfaced in your life? There might be things, and again, I'm not going to get all Tony Robbins on you here, but I will say that you really ought to take a critical look at why certain people might actually come up or why you're actually tolerating. Sometimes there's a little self-reflecting to do. But assuming that it's not, assuming that you just have a bloody psychopath who's really bad, and you do want to try and salvage the deal. First of all, walking away from a bad client, it's a very healthy action. Hard to do when you got to pay your bills, but it's a very, very healthy action. I'm not telling you exactly how to deal with it. We all get a certain amount of brain damage. That's going to be up to you to decide how much brain damage you're going to um, want. There are certain signs in certain clients that behave in a certain way where they're never going to buy a property or they're never going to sell a property. Or I've got somebody right now who, well, if we can't find it at this ridiculously high price, I added the ridiculously high price, we'll just rent. Guess what? They're going to rent. I don't do rentals. We might. I mean, again, if it's a client and they bought from us and there's somebody that has a long, I might, but not under those circumstances. So many times people are kind of, especially in Florida. I don't know how it is for Paul in New York or Hassan or Dirk in Denver. I don't know, but so many times people will say to us, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And then they kind of fall into the whole rental market. I never would have worked with them in the first place. I don't even know if there is like fair housing law issues in some of your areas. I know somebody got in trouble, I think in New York, that said, I don't work with people at this price point or this. Do take care of yourself. Don't break any laws. But just understand that you really do need to have a standard. Write that down. And Lavette said it best. Lavette, say it out loud, please. Just unmute yourself. I love that statement. Where is she?
Walking away is empowering.
Mazel tov. Walking away is empowering. It really is because you're just saying to yourself, there's enough in the world that you can have that doesn't mean, that makes this person less and less important. There's another saying that I have. I learned this and I looked it up because I was looking for quotes. My sister's raising bees in Europe. My sister lives in Europe and she has 1 million bees in her hives. And I looked up some fun quotes about this. And this is the greatest one. You guys are all going to use this. A bee doesn't have to explain to a fly why honey is better than shit. Okay? It's great. It's a great, and it says it all right there. You think somebody's beneath you, and why are you even answering this person? This is when I get into debates with idiots online. Stupid. I really shouldn't do it, but I do. Okay, so I don't know why you're following me here, but it does happen. Okay, so let's talk about the red flags that pop up. Some of the words that they might use. Can somebody give me a thought as to some of the red flags that come up with the more difficult clients? By the way, the end of this is not necessarily firing them, although that should be an option. It's how you get through it with pride and with dignity and being able to actually have a successful, mature relationship with these people. What are some of the red flags that actually come up? Paul Zwiebin, I'm going to pick on you for a second. What are some of the demanding words or things that you might have heard from clients in the past? But first, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Paul Zwiebin, and I'm from the Zwiebin team of Compass in New York City, and it's freezing here. I think when you if you get an email at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning when the first thing you wake up and it's just negative and they're giving you shit, or excuse my language.
Please watch your language.
Yes. That sort of starts the day. And I really feel that, if you have a morning routine where you're exercising or whatever, meditating, you can look at that email in a different way. If you're not meditating and or exercising or doing whatever you're supposed to do in the morning, that could affect your whole day. And it's like, look, sometimes we do have to, eat dirt with a client, and it's not enjoyable. But like what you said, Edmund, is there are times where I'm like, I can't work with this person. Hey, team member B, let's do this 50-50. It's all yours. I never want to see her again.
Yeah. So again, and I don't want to just push the brain damage off to somebody else necessarily, but if that's what they are receptive to,
Yep.
And you know what? Sometimes it's not so much the brain damage. Sometimes we're just not a match.
100%.
Sometimes I might be too conservative. They might be too liberal. They might think this. Sometimes they want to deal with a woman. I have one person who said to me, can you find me an agent in California? This is like 6 or 7 years ago. I said, sure. She said she needs to be either a sophisticated woman in her mid-50s or a flamboyantly gay guy. I'm like, wow, okay, that's kind of a tall order, but it was she knew what she wanted. She knew what she wanted. Great. I got her the agent. She made a purchase. Fabulous. I mean, it was great stuff, but she was extremely specific with what she actually knew. She knew who she was. She knew who she wanted to work with. Kenny Believe, and if you're going to introduce,
you just described 50% of the business.
We're going to do that at the end, Kenny. But if you have a question,
No,
go ahead.
no. I just said, I've had difficult clients over the years. Once I had 3 brothers in a trust, and one was bipolar, but the one that was in charge didn't want to listen to me or anything, and they wouldn't lower the price. And his thing was, I own you. I've got a contract for you to work for me. So I had to, even talk to my office and like, hey, we've got a contract, but it doesn't say we have to do much. So I just did the minimum, just leave it to MLS,
Hmm,
whatever, and just let it expire. Is all I could do, just to
sure.
get them to go away. So
Well,
that
yeah. Well, if they're going to say they own you, you could actually remind them that if there is a client, I've got someone who's a client of mine, a coaching client. She's dealing with this. She's got another 6 or 7 months on the listing agreement. I could fire you. Actually, you can't. That's why contracts exist. So let's actually work together. In other words, I'm not saying to deliberately be mean or surly or anything like that. That's not what this is about. It's about really having the self-respect that you so deserve. And a lot of agents get drummed out because of that. Any other point, Kenny, or you're still muted?
there's a couple more, but I can't remember because I've recently followed. I I just fired one. She was complaining to the person that I referred me, and he was being a dick. And uh, uh, again, it's like I'd rather not deal with a problem. And this one was going into probate, so there's a lot of time in it. So I said, well, we'll just pick it up when it's done with probate. But just complaining to other people about me, that was just ridiculous.
Okay. Red flag radar. These are for you to copy and paste. Okay. This is page 6 of the course book. Number one, basic first contact risk assessment. This is when somebody gives you a long introduction email. Analyze this potential client's first message for red flags and personality type. Then you paste the message in. And you're going to say, please provide a risk factor. I love doing the score 1 to 10, where 10 is the highest risk. Top 3 red flags identified, personality type assessment, recommend response approach, specific boundaries to set immediately. This is for an extensive email only. If just hello, my friend told me to meet you, it's not going to work. But if they actually give you some lengthy stuff, that's going to be really good. Prompt number 2, a comprehensive personality profile from this client's communication. By the way, do this with a couple different AIs. We did this in last week's meeting. We would remember, for those of you who came, we had the meeting LLM stacking, where we work with multiple AIs. If you're actually going to get this in there, you're going to be able to take a look and find out, at least on a surface level, what it really means to you. And if you do what I always tell you to do, and that is use your ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, whatever you're using, solo. You don't share it with your wife. You don't share it with the team. You pay your $20 a month and you have it just on your own. Why? Because you could also take the same communication and say, based on what you know about me, what strategies should I put together to work with what I'm perceiving as a difficult client? And it will know. And it will know. And it will be able to answer you. And it will be able to do this. Is it perfect? Far from it. Are there mistakes? Absolutely. I don't want to be the guy that says there's no mistakes, but it is an interesting way to be able to utilize um, to utilize AI and to be able to utilize all these to have a greater understanding of the people that you are working with. What about the boundaries? You know what I found really interesting? We've got. Do I have any Orthodox Christians here? Greek Orthodox? Maybe, maybe kind of, sort of. I mean, there's certain holidays that actually come about. People tend to not want to mess with a holiday. Do this little experiment. Well, I have Shabbat on Friday. I need to finish work at this particular time. When could we do this? Or I've got someone on my team that could work with you. If someone's going to demand that you violate your own faith or your own standards, most people have that understanding. I'm going to see my dad, who's aging, um, later today. The client's going to go out with Dina, who I don't think is in the meeting right now. If they are unreasonable, that's it. It's my dad. It's not an excuse not to get the work done, but these are great experiments to throw along the way. If they're going to be that way, then what's going on? How long? The other thing is the time horizon. How long are you going to have to deal with these people? Is it going to be a quick sale? Are they looking realistically at the price point that is in your area? Or are they saying, okay, if you could get me this phenomenal deal, I'll buy? Well, yeah, so will I. Somebody even said that to me. We were looking for properties for 2 days. And then he said, I really want a $5 million property for about $2 million. If you get me that, that's what I'm going to want. And I'm thinking, why did I spend this time with this guy? If I could get a $5 million property for 2 million, Dirk, wouldn't you go and buy a $5 million property for you? You beg, borrow, and steal. I'd send an email out to all of you guys. Hey, we got the world's greatest investment. Why do I need this schmuck? So just keep in mind that the signs are there. You just might not want to see it. Um, Let me just see here. We also have boundary effacement. Again, I'm not going to go through all these prompts. I want you to. And I want you to be able to experiment with it and see how well the AI is actually working out for you in the processes of being able to deal with this. Who else has had some difficult clients? I don't want to talk so much anymore. I want to hear from you guys. Who's had some difficult clients that they've actually had to deal with? I'm very curious.
Ed, this is Dirk in Denver.
Dirk in Denver, please.
One of my biggest red flags is when they want everything now. It has to happen. I've said I need it. I want it right this second. It just sets the transaction tone where they're not going to respect any part of your advice, and you're setting yourself up for a big kaboom at some point in time.
Yeah, it's a good observation. You're right. If they're going to set anything else aside, if you tell them something, so they want it now. Dirk, let's take it a step further. They want it now. What do you deal with? What's your strategy?
Sometimes it's just you defer a little bit. Again, it kind of depends on what their price point is, right? If it's going to be worth my squeeze. But once they start to understand my workflow a little bit, people might calm down a little bit, or they start seeing that there is an expert on the other side. Maybe they start to settle in. But I've let people go within a couple weeks of working with one another because of that. I've given them to team members, other agents in my office, just because I say, hey, I think there's a personality conflict and I'm probably not the one that you're looking for. So yeah, I have walked away plenty of times.
There's a personality conflict. You have a bad personality.
I try not to make a battle out of it, and if it goes on my shoulders, fine, but I'm okay to walk away.
Okay, very good. Who else? Melissa or Suzanne or Tiffany? Maybe you want to chime in on some of this. Tiffany's leaning in. She's trying to push the unmute button. She can't find oh, there it is. Okay.
I got it.
There we go. Tiffany, tell everyone who
Hi,
you are.
everyone. Good morning. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm the only person, but I feel like every deal there's always something complicated. Like something always happens. As far as people, that's why I think I told you I've decided to move on to working with the dead because it is always something. So I'm trying to focus on these probate and estate properties, but I don't know. I mean, I'm nice, but I'm very direct. So I've just specifically, and this is, I know you want like getting through it, but I had like my best friend that listed with me. And these people, like I took them to a rock concert. They were backstage because of my connection. And this was way before they were going to sell. And the husband was so just like, they were out of town. They'd already moved. And I was expected to take care of the leaves. And then I had to take like 12 boxes that I had shipped and go to the post office and open houses. And I missed my kids' games. And there's no good ending to it because they ended up listing it with someone else that advertised in the neighborhood that priced it where it should have been. And, one thing I can say is that I decided like never again. I took way too much crap for it and it just, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And there is some of that's on you. I mean,
right.
Because you actually tolerated it. Nothing to beat yourself up about. I don't go back and forth saying, oh, woe is me. What I say is recognize that, just as I did with this client, no one's ever going to talk to me that way again.
Right.
There's not $1 amount. It is at 57. Fuck that. No way. No one's ever going to do that. And as I think about it, I feel great shame personally for tolerating it. We shouldn't do it.
Same. Yeah.
Greg Coggins, I saw you were kind of reacting to Tiffany as she was, where did he go? Did he hang up on us? Greg?
No, I hope not.
Okay, I hope not either. So were you going to comment on that? Was that, what you were saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, there comes a point with anybody that we deal with in life that we don't tolerate the way they're treating us. I think it's a whole nother session, but I'd love to tune your prompts for difficult agents. Because I think I run into that more than I do difficult clients. You know, I don't want to go into any specifics, but I oftentimes run into agents that that I don't know how to say it. They're very adversarial. I know that we're representing opposite sides, but the goal for both agents is to close the deal. And I run into
You muted yourself or something. Sorry, go ahead, Greg. Yeah.
I'm going to try to tweak your prompts to see if I can get some help with those difficult agents.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, that's agreed. 100% that the agents, I think, I mean, I'm filing a grievance against an agent right now. I could probably do something on, we've got the perfect set of prompts for Claude to file this whole grievance thing because he treated my team like shit. Nobody could actually do that. I just don't tolerate it. It's not good. We've got a couple of Zoom users in here. One I see is John Bainton. There's another one who's in here. It just says Zoom user. We don't see who they are, and we don't see hear them. If you could just please identify yourself. And actually, we've got two of them in here. We will be asking you to leave if you're not registered for the meeting. So if you would take just a moment and just identify yourself either in the chat or chime in right now, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, it's Lena.
Lena, welcome. Okay, good. So that was one. And the other one, well, we'll try and do that. If you could send me a text or something.
John Bainson here. I don't know.
No, it wasn't you, John. I got you. Okay, so the third one, if they could please chime in, I would appreciate it. Sorry about that, guys. We're just trying to...
Hi, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm driving, trying to get off mute. My name is Lethal. I am an agent here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. People spend a lot of money here, being here. I want to make sure that everyone's a bona fide guest, and my resolution this year is to kind of defend against that. So very good. Okay. What else? So, what have we actually gleaned from this before we go on with other parts and other sets of drama? Some clients are, and some realtors, just to finish up what some of you have said as well about realtors, are really drama queens that are actually seeking it. If it's dangerous, you drop it. And when I mean dangerous, I once had someone pull a gun on me. That's kind of bad. Not a client, but I walked, was showing a client property. The guy was nuts. I didn't need to. He was just goofing around because he was showing his gun. Okay, I stopped right there. That's not somebody that you really want to deal with. It was a weird situation. He lived in the house across the street and he was talking about how dangerous it was, and he thought we were somehow, thieves in the area. He didn't. He was just being a douche, and I knew, we're not going to stick around there. Fair enough, right? Sounds kind of smart. Somebody has a gun, I run away. That's me. I try to not run away from anything else, but you have a gun, you kind of got me. That's a big one. We've had other clients where they just deliberately want to push the buttons and deliberately want to be antagonistic. That's what we're avoiding. What we're trying to do here, so with all this, is there anything worth salvaging? Yes, there is. It's sales. It's not, it's the sales business. It's not show business. We do have to do a certain amount of work. We do have a certain amount of difficult people that we have to deal with. What are some of the things that you're doing now on the client that isn't just nasty, that isn't being a nasty client, but they're just difficult? What are some of the ways that you're actually dealing with them? I'm going to do a lightning round here. First, we're going to get to Paul. What are some of the things that you do without referring to another agent in the team that you do when it comes to dealing with a difficult client?
Boxing 3 times a week to make sure that I stay calm, so their bullshit doesn't affect me, or it affects me less. Because when you're treated like shit, no matter what, it's going to affect you in some form. So I really feel that my workout routine and my morning routine just help negate the bullshit.
Okay. So Paul will be leading the brawl in the parking lot immediately following.
I would love to.
I have run
And who's that?
Hi, it's Lena.
Lena, please tell everyone who you are and where you are.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm in Delray Beach, Florida right now. And I think that when I have difficult clients, I think that no genuinely happy person is unkind to other people. So I think that they must be having something going on in their lives. And I try not to take it personally.
Okay.
And that helps me.
That's good. That's good. Okay, I like that. So you're almost looking at it like you feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah, I'm like, it's because no genuinely happy person is unkind or mean to someone else maliciously for no reason. So I think, okay, they probably have stuff going on in their lives and I don't take it personally.
Okay, I like that. And Melissa Scotch said, I box also, Paul Sweetman. I used to box too, believe it or not. Uh, don't bet on a guy like me. It wasn't very good. But I will tell you that it does get some of the aggression out and you are able to actually do this. But it's interesting that you use the word box. There was a saying, box it in or cut it out. What does that mean? I know that, for example, I do this with my tax return. I hate working on my accounting. I just can't stand it. It's one of those things I'm just not very, keen to do. I do it just fine, but I'd rather just avoid it. Okay, this 1 hour, I'm going to work on this and I'm going to deal with all the headaches that actually come with this particular thing for 1 hour. But as soon as that buzzer goes off, that 1 hour has passed, it will get you past the whole thing. You can't get started? Fine. I'm going to work on it for 5 minutes. Sometimes, if you just get the ball rolling, things actually, I could say more often than not, if you could just get the ball rolling, you're able to actually deal with this. But box it in or cut it out. Write that down. Box it in or cut it out. You're going to box in the client so that they behave and work with you at this particular time. And you make it really, really clear that you're going to just work with them under these sets of circumstances and these sets of guidelines. If you can't do that, or if they're really that bad, you got to cut them out. If they're not going to respect that, you got to cut it. I had a client that felt it was okay to call me at 11 p.m. I just turned my phone off. Why couldn't I reach you at 11 p.m.? Because I'm normal. Because I go to sleep. Because I'm human. Because I'm not working then. I mean, right now, for all that I love with technology, it really is the big slave driver, don't you think? I mean, it really can keep you up all the time, working 24/7 until you get carried out by your pallbearers. And you know damn well that that's not what this meeting is about. I put this stuff on to help you live a better realtor life or a better business life, not work till the end. So remember that, write it down, box it in, cut it out. Aton boxes it well. Okay, I never looked this. But now I just follow Paul's recipes. You know what, Paul? If you could volunteer one of your recipes at some point, Paul's an extremely accomplished chef, which he became and a big restaurateur in New York, and he became this before he was a realtor. So if and he has a pig roast every summer, which he's inviting all of you to. No more pig roasts?
No, I mean, we haven't had one in a while, but we need one.
Yeah, it's like, that's great. I love when Jews have pig roasts. I think that's hilarious, Something kosher here. Okay. What else do we have going on here? Who else has got some experiences with some bad clients or some difficult clients? I want to hear it. I want to hear from you. Go ahead, Hassan. Hassan, you're very chatty today. I like this.
Yeah.
I really struck a nerve with you now.
No, you did. So
Yeah.
so part of the routine that you were talking about, I do a little bit of a combination of what Paul does and sort of the Zen kind of approach. So I find that if I start my day, like I've got my day structured and I've got an idea of how I've got my day planned. So I start off, I do some meditation, I get on the treadmill, and then I've got my time blocked. I find that if I fall off of my routine for whatever, if I don't get started with my routine, then little things will end up impacting me. If I'm in control of my routine and my day is on schedule, then I'm able to be zen about those things that could irritate me. And I look at someone the same way someone had already said. I'll say, okay, I feel sorry for that person. Obviously, they've got something going on in their life, so it doesn't affect me. But to get to the difficult clients, I actually, and this was painful, I fired a client back in December, and it was a $1.3 million deal. And there's an old Benjamin Franklin adage, beware of meat twice boiled. So I had worked with this client before, and it was a really difficult experience. But again, like I got to the point where I was giving advice and the client was not following any of my advice. And then when things would come to fruition, she wasn't taking responsibility for that. It was her decision not to do what I had advised. And I was getting blamed for decisions that the client had made, even though I had advised against those decisions. So I got to the point of, okay, this is probably isn't going to work anymore. I mean, it was painful. It was a $1.3 million deal, but.
Okay. Well, and do you feel better off now? You seem happy.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it just, at some point, I guess, I mean, we all want to make money, but at some point it's like, how much is your time actually worth, and how much aggravation is it worth to get that set amount of money?
Yeah, you have to ask that. And it brings me to a good point. Our next meeting is going to be on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Something that I want all of you to go to. Climbing the ladder, how you're going to go one rung higher than the clientele that you're working with right now. You know, you could do 100 deals at $250,000 and make $25 million in gross sales. You could do 10 deals at $2.5 million. You could do one deal at $25 million. You now have done the exact same cash. That was the deliverable. It was all the same thing. A lot of you are majoring in minor things, and that's a bad thing. Now, again, some of you have said to me, Ed, I do 50, 60 deals a year. That's between 500,000 and $1 million. That's great. That's your model. And then don't come. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the meaning for you. But if you are of the mindset where you've said to yourself, I'm falling short, I don't swing in those circles. Does anyone ever say that to themselves? I don't have access to people who have that kind of worth. I've had this. I told everyone this story once. There was a guy who hired a competitor of mine, and after telling me that he thought I was the better agent, I said, well, then why did you hire her? I know that you signed this thing. And he said, Ed, I don't see real estate as something that a man should sell. I think it's a woman's business. I think you're in the wrong business. And I looked at him, and of course, because I'm a wise ass, I said, well, someday I'm going to break through that glass ceiling. You're never going to stop me. And I did all the kind of, rah, rah, rah. You're going to have certain levels of discrimination. We need to identify that. That's what next week's meeting is going to be all about. Being able to make one rung up the ladder. So if you were stuck in the $500,000 to $700,000 price range, or finish the sentence, whatever it might be, and you want to break through that $1 million range, or you want to break through the higher range, we're going to talk about strategies to actually go ahead and do that. Here's a spoiler alert. A lot of it comes from within. Because I'll tell you, some of these inexpensive deals that I've done have been far more difficult. We're seeing some clients tomorrow. I was fortunate enough to get the referral to them. They are between $5 and $10 million. They are definitive. They are great. I mean, I know that it is going to be, if we actually get the deal done, somebody will say, well, that was easy. Yeah, I worked my ass off for it to be that easy. I worked my ass off to finally get I only share on social media the good stuff. You never saw my kids screaming on Sunday night that they forgot to study for an exam the next day. We just don't do that. We put out there. So we're going to talk about that again, climbing the ladder. That's next Wednesday. I hope that you could make it. Okay. Any other thoughts on this before we get to wants, needs, and brags? This is okay. Lavette, please.
Okay,
Love
so
Lavette.
my grandfather used to have this saying that when you let people slip, they'll slide. And that didn't really register with me until I got older. And from just being in school, there are a lot of people that are just bullies. They would try to bully you. And you have to be able to just stand up for yourself. And I see that no different than a lot of these clients that we're talking about. They're bullies. They actually don't see us any different than they see that fast food worker that they throw stuff at and scream at. So you have to really get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations with someone. Once you start noticing the friction between you and your client, ask them, hey, have I done anything? Have I said anything? And when you call it out, sometimes people will just relax and come to their senses because they don't expect you to do that. They expect you to tiptoe around them because you're getting ready to make money and they think that they can control you with money. So you just got to stand up for yourself. And like, I'm not comfortable with, how you're speaking to me. We should be able to work together. Just kind of just call it out. And a lot of times they will just relax and calm the hell down.
Yeah, sage advice. Paul Zwiebin, thank you for coming today. Okay, Paul's just jumped off. Guys, this is all great advice. I think a lot of this is just a lot of self-reflection as well. But if you use these guidelines, and by the way, just to point out a little typo, the difficult client destruction system, what we were saying is how to destroy a difficult client. It's not exactly, so it's out there. This is as famous as the upside down postage stamp with the airplane that was upside down. It was a little bit of a typo. I like it though. So, we could actually, just to show it's okay not to be perfect. You could just follow me and definitely not be perfect. Okay. Who else? Anything else on this? Wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. I'm bragging that I've got a great opportunity with this buyer. I'm bragging that I'm getting to see my dad again today. He's not been well. So to me, that means more to me than anything. I'm bragging that a dear friend of mine is going to be staying with us tomorrow. I mean, these are some great things in life. Take stock in all the good stuff, guys. I think it's really important. Who else wants, needs, and brags? Hopefully somebody who hasn't said anything, but if you have something, please unmute, speak up. And if not, perhaps, okay, maybe.
Hi, it's
Okay,
me again.
Tiffany, hi.
Brag just about
Yeah.
my daughters. So my
Okay.
youngest is a volleyball player, and my oldest is the one that's going to Wellesley for softball and pitching. And so she's a senior, and my youngest is playing softball, and she actually made the team this year. So both of them will play on the high school team, even though she hates softball. She's doing it for Big Sis, so it's kind of cute.
Love it. That's good. Congratulations. There's nothing greater. Yeah, my kids are my everything, so that's great. Kenny, I think you had something that you wanted to point out.
My daughter's lives in Texas with her husband, who's a big commercial agent doing tons and tons of large buildings, but they're coming to California to go to Disneyland, so I get to see the grandkids. Also, I don't know if I let people know my daughter's clairvoyant, and she's known as the soul sorceress on Instagram, and she has case studies of her works and stuff like that. But she's a pretty cool kid. So just brag about that. She's 6'1". I'm 5'6". So
You got to get any DNA tests going there? Just kidding. Too far.
my first wife was taller than me.
I mean, my wife
Yeah.
says my daughters are mine. I hope. I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
my first wife was very tall, so I said I'd never marry a tall woman because I don't want to look up to women anymore. So anyway, go ahead.
Who else wants, needs, and brags? Okay, guys, we have this great meeting next week. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. If you want to get together with me, please do so. If you're not yet signed up, actually, can we hear from some of the guests that were here today? And Kenny, I
Yeah,
know you had a couple guests here.
there's a bunch of them. Greg Mandel, he's in Chicago right now. He's listening. He can't pick up the phone. He's got somebody in his car.
Okay.
David Pinkham is here. Did he stay on? David's out of Bel Air. Pinkham Estates of Bel Air, high-end stuff. Good friend of mine forever, formerly Coldwell Banker. And then my other friend Sue was in Boise, Idaho, but she had to jump off. So I'm just gonna keep inviting some new people.
Just
I'm
run it through
I
me
network
first.
all
Thank
over.
you. We love
Yeah.
it. And Telia Rivers, can you unmute? I know that
Yeah.
she's in a busy place. She seems so sweet and like, oh, why messing with me? Gotta push that. Hey.
Can you hear me? I'm in Starbucks.
Okay, no worries. I've done many meetings myself in Starbucks. Just want to tell everyone who you are so we could get a plug out for you.
I'm Talia Rivers. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. In where in South Carolina?
In Charleston.
In Charleston.
Well, we need to get together and do these meetings together then, because I'm sitting in Charleston right now.
Invited by Greg.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm delighted to have you, Talia. If we could catch up outside of this at some point, I would love to do just that. Welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, next week is the meeting. We don't have Terry here to sing us out. I don't know what's going on with Terry because it's always a fun time having him sing us out. But again, it's great having you. I really, really hope that you can make it to that. We will have a whole other set of meetings going on as well. And coming up will be a 6-week course on Claude and Claude Code and how to actually use it for real estate. Really important stuff. It's a more advanced type of class. It's for anybody who wants to sign up, but we're really going to have a series of tasks and homework and stuff like that for you to do. So look for that. And if you have any interest in learning it, please do send me a direct message, and we'll be able to get you on the list. But that should be coming up in mid-month next month. Again, it really depends upon the number of people that we get to commit to it. We want to limit it to 5 or 6. So let me know, drop me a message, and we'll be able to talk. And thank you so much for coming today. I look forward to seeing you next week for another exciting episode of Brain Nation. Thanks, guys.
Brain Nation.
Hey, yeah. Okay, good. Boy, you know what, Greg? Screw Terry. We got you. Actually, I should tape that and send it to him. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Take care.